All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have to accept the agenda.
Right.
Couple of informal discussions, 159, 161 Hollitt, Gannett Road, number 280 Gannett, and Glades Road, number 105. And then Carol had put a few other ones on here about conservation restrictions and about the horse on Edward Foster Road, who's back.
Uh,
the old horse.
No.
What's his name?
Chilmark.
Yeah, that's right. Loved it. I love the name. And then
The house.
I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that you had too, like the signage and stuff.
Yes,
Is that on there? Did that make it?
Request for determination signage?
oh, there were two
Well,
different
RDA
things.
posting signs with the bylaw, yeah. Right,
Okay.
so we can put that under there, yeah.
Okay.
And,
Then I make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just so the audience knows, the chairman is in transit, but we have a quorum, right?
Right. So why don't we start with some of this administrative stuff and Pat's report?
Do you know what, there's a few informal discussions where people have to be somewhere else later. So if we could maybe start a couple of those, it's a time-sensitive thing, somebody has to be out of here. And then we can do some of the other stuff later, if it's okay.
Okay. So you want to start with,
154 Turner.
sounds good.
Sure.
Sure. Hi, my name is Bob O'Neill, and I have an open order conditions for a house at 102 Scituate Ave, and it was originally an order that was approved. The old cottage was on 154 Turner, and I'm actually, we just completed the house. It's our own residence, but I'm also a builder, contractor, and my neighbor has asked me to enlarge his deck. He has an open deck, and the original order conditions that's still open encompass any work that was done on his house. And I didn't know if it required a full filing, or if it's where my order is still open, if I could extend his deck, with the permission of the building department. And it's easier to show it on a plan. You could see, how it all lays out.
Yeah, you'd have to come back into us too, to amend your orders to include that, okay? And we'd have to see the plan where you're going with the deck.
Yeah, that'd be the big thing. It might not be a big issue, but first we have to see, like, how far is the resource area from the deck and what's the layout?
Right, and I have that all on the plan. I have his proposed deck on a plan.
Yeah, we had met,
So you can file for
and,
an amendment.
yeah, we had met, and I said, bring the plan in and take a look, because when you see it, it looks like it's all part of an order that it may not require an amendment, maybe it might require a revised plan, but I thought, if he brought it into, you could take a look at it. So, I mean, if it's a revised plan within the footprint, it's further away from the wetland than the original work that was done on the first project, so it's,
Do you have copies we could look at with you?
Yes, the house that we just built is the one that's really close to the wetlands. He is
Okay.
on the other side of our house, so I do have copies. It just,
So the original filing was for one address, but it extended to this address also?
yes, the
That's
origi-
interesting.
It's,
Yeah, they're kind of back to back.
Yeah.
I have the order conditions. The 102 Scituate Ave was an old cottage. It
Okay.
actually is located on 154 Turner's property. And years ago, they came in and they got approval for a special permit to demolish this and relocate the house.
That was Steve Bajorkin came in with that one. Do you remember that? It was,
Vaguely, yeah.
Yes, I know what you
And
do.
we bought the lot, we bought this lot, 102 Scituate Ave, just a year ago, and just completed our house. And we're just getting ready now to file for a final, to get a certificate of compliance.
Right.
My neighbor has an open deck, which is 4 by 16 feet. It doesn't even, it's not shown on this plan, and he wants to make it a little larger. This house was completed, 100%, all the grading's done, we're ready to, so I thought to, he's asked me, I'm a home builder and a contractor, if I could come in, he's actually out of town right now, but I do have a copy of the plan from Ross Engineering that was
That's the
in-
50.
that shows his dwelling, which is this
Right.
structure here, which is showing the open deck. It's existing 4 by 16, he wants to make it, add another additional 8 feet right here.
He wants to come back out here?
Yes. And when I bought the lot, the previous developer who had knocked down the garage had put in silt fence and hay bales. Before we started driving the piles, put additional hay bales, and then prior to doing final grading, I put in silt fence. So that is still there. The silt fence is still,
In place?
well protected. We're only talking about literally 4 sonotubes. And again, so I just thought,
Where are we in proximity to wetlands or?
Wetlands.
Here's the
They're all in
wetlands, but
here.
see, there's already a dwelling.
Yeah, right.
See,
so
this,
there's something in
this is
between.
the 50-foot buffer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, going here.
Yeah.
And that's the 100.
Yeah.
and this has all been seeded, the grass has grown in good, and this has been on, the original order was extended, and it's coming due November 15th. I have it in my file over there. And it just, but this is, the work is right here, and it does show on the plan here.
The whole thing is inside the 100.
Right, but it's all, right.
yeah.
It's
It's outside the 50 and inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
But-
outside the 50.
Did you go,
Now-
Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with these two dwellings, I do think the lots were split open, so I'm of the feeling that he's got a file.
Okay.
He does. Because if I remember correctly, you have a property line now.
Yes.
Okay, he's not, even though it used to be the same address, it's not anymore. So I say he has to
Did you
file.
look at the orders?
I looked at the site. The original lot had everything combined in, but if the property line changed after that, that might be something. we'll-
Well, because originally it was,
So does that mean the lots are subdivided, so they're, okay.
Yeah.
But the work under my order was to demolish this house and relocate it here.
Right.
Which has all been done.
It was on this fellow's property.
But any orders we put
Okay.
on this property, even if they subdivided it, it'd still be
It didn't cover.
enforced.
It could be, but I'm not 100% sure.
They don't go away.
I'm not saying, but
Yeah.
it was for this work. It had nothing really to do with that existing house. The orders were all for the demolition and to,
Right, well, the demolition
And
was,
he also remodeled,
Yeah.
they did remodel that, that was an old house.
Okay.
It's all been completely
well,
done.
remodeling inside, our jurisdiction is anything that goes in the ground. And the pilings would go in the ground.
well, I would say we should look at the orders. If it has
Yeah.
orders on the property, we could get, a pier plan and a deck plan and add it.
Yeah, amend it.
If it doesn't, then we'd have to do an RDA for that property. You agree with that?
Yeah, I just
There's still
don't-
open orders that
I'm not going
apply.
to give a,
Right.
okay tonight, we have to.
Right. If there's still open orders, we'll have to look that apply to this property.
If
We
they
could,
apply.
right, we could
Yeah.
get a
Could add
pier
on to
plan
it.
and a deck.
And just stick it under that.
Yeah.
Right.
I have I brought the orders with me. I brought the extension, I didn't bring the full set of orders.
Okay.
Condition.
I mean, I could either get it, I could check later.
And it is, if he has to, whatever he has to do, I just,
Right.
where I have the open order, and, I said I'll go up there and talk to them and, see what they say.
That's why we brought it to you, it's a gray area.
Right.
But I-
Well, no, so do you agree during the week, back
Yeah,
and look
and-
and see
Yeah.
which way we have to go and tell them, and
And I
then,
want
Yeah.
his input.
and then, next meeting, we could have them either come with a
Sure.
separate RDA
Yeah.
or
Or
just a
just
deck
file it
plan.
Bio amendment,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
okay?
Is that clear as mud?
Yeah,
Chairman's a carpenter, so we'll have him look at it.
There you go.
I don't think anything.
What's that? Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, 70.
Actually, we met years ago, my son used to hang out with the kids, I used to live on Cushing Hill Road,
Okay,
so we met it 9 years ago, so.
take it easy.
Yes.
What about this week? I'll pull it out and we'll write an email.
Oh, I think. Thank you.
What's that?
Do you want to move on? Oh, here's Frank.
Just in time.
house going, the gas company is still there.
Yeah, there was a little stumble today, but
Yeah,
Do you have, I printed the agenda the other day, it's not the same one.
really?
did you accept the agenda?
Yes,
Yes.
we did, and we did one
We're
of
already
the-
rolling, you're ready to
Good.
jump right in.
We did one of the informal discussions on 154 Jordan Road.
And now we're on 260 Central Ave.
Yeah.
260.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this is Mr. Salento.
Okay. How you doing?
Hi, good, how are you?
Step up.
All right, thank you.
Come on down.
I'm going to sit up with Mark because I did the original construction.
Sure, apologize for being late, and following you guys up.
Thank you. So, I'm here in front of the committee looking for guidance, I guess, or an amendment, or whatever the process is, to repave the area in front of the house that has actually had pavement before, so I'm just looking to replace the pavement. And the issue was that it was damaged rather severely in that hurricane and storm in February of 2013. If you recall, I've been from the board before on 2 other occasions. One, the initial time I came here was to replace a retaining wall that had creosote, and that was in the realm of vinculicious, and actually, I wasn't allowed to replace the creosote posts. I wanted to replace it with inert material. I thought it would probably be favorable to remove that kind of material from the area. But I was able actually to replace it in kind, so there's.
Well, I'm glad you got to do it.
Yeah, I did. But that is the area where I see all the storm surge, because that's the northeast corner of my home. And so anyways, that's where the storm surge comes over. It sort of goes, eddies over there, and it lifts up the concrete. And there was areas where it was so old that it sort of, ocean was able to create that wave action. And then the second time I was here, of course, was to do the back deck, that concrete deck that I was allowed to replace. So anyways, when that storm happened in February, there was a state order that came out about emergency conditions of being allowed to repair and replace. And so I was under the false impression that I was able to do that under those orders, and erroneously, as it turns out. And so I wanted to, by the time that the foundries were opened to do the paving, it was already the summer months, and in deference to most of my neighbors in the summer crowds there, I elected to do this in the fall when everybody left. So, as it turns out, since it wasn't under the order of condition, or under the emergency declarations, the work was stopped. And I was asked to come in front of the board to actually try and get, permission or get an amendment to my open order, which is still open, from the concrete deck, and wondering if I can add that to the cleanup process, because it was damaged during the storm.
The one thing that Bart hasn't mentioned is we didn't finish the concrete work until late spring. And we were using that area as a staging area for several tons of rebar and things along those lines. So it wasn't stuff that's easily moved.
Okay. So there's kind of 2 pieces. There's some work that got started sort of erroneously or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the request to amend your orders to pave the driveway at this stage. Is the pavement all been removed?
It has been removed, because what happened was, that, my thinking was that we were able to do this under those conditions, so they had actually started the work, removed that, and that was actually stopped within a couple of hours of having that
Right.
removed.
We have so many people down in Humrock that keep an eye on things that
Yeah,
you can barely move.
I've noticed.
It's probably the last guy who was denied a driveway.
Yeah, I talked to the person in the paving company, and he was saying, well, there was an open order, and plus with the emergency thing, and he was, he thought he was all set to go.
Really? He knows all about orders?
This guy actually has been through this a few times.
Yeah,
so-
they've probably been here a couple of times.
Yes. So at first, I didn't know there was an order, and when I went out there, we realized it was an open order, and we said, I mean, one of the options might be to come in and see if an amendment would be possible under this. And, I mean, something has to be next, it's different from the original plan, which was on the other side of the house. This is further from the house, I mean, from the shore, and it's on the other side, so.
And it was already paved.
And it was already paved, and it's not expanding, it was the same footprint on the paving. Is that,
Part of the purpose of my being here is also to give you some background information. When we arrived on site to do our work, which is to build the section of seawall and the concrete deck on top of it, the area was paved, I can attest to that fact. And we didn't know it, but his septic system in his septic tank is under the paving. As work progressed and as these storms came along, it became quite evident that a lot of the washout was causing voids to the sides of his septic system, and also crumbling where the new paving, where the old paving met other things like the retaining wall and other places. So I can tell you that from my perspective, the damage to the paving when we were done with our project, which was not machine-related damage, but weather-related damage, was greater than what it was when we first arrived on the site to do our work.
I don't know, we just run through if anybody's got any questions.
No, I don't have any questions. Of course, we don't like to see pavement down there. We try to encourage people to remove the pavement and do pavers or something else where the water, some of it can get down in the ground, because when you do have, especially in your area where you have that overwash, when it hits your pavement of your driveway, it speeds up and it takes off to whoever's in front of you. So it, I don't know, it's kind of gonna be up to the board where you already had it.
Yeah, and I've thought about that, and there's two things. Actually, if you look on the original, I have an old copy of the original plan that shows actually multiple houses on the riverside. There were lots that were there, and it's an old, I can't see, I can't tell how old it is, but it's at least probably 100 years old. But right across from me is F Street, and that's sort of the natural way where all this water that comes across over there, it comes right down F Street and then goes right out onto the South Riverside. In interest in thinking about this, drove down there today, and I was telling Joe, I counted the number of homes from Sands End to where Fourth Cliff rises, and there's 185 homes there. And the number of homes that actually have hard or non-permeable surfaces is probably 39. Most of them are actually in the Sand End side of town. In fact, north of me, up Fourth Cliff, there's not a single paved road, it's all just gravel. And then heading south of me, there's only two other homes at 242 and 254. So, you know, to my way of thinking is that I don't think that my area of non-permeable area is really sort of overly impacting that whole area, since most of the area is already permeable in a way. And maybe that's a sort of singular view of looking at it, but you know, I look, the other way to look at it is just asking to replace what was already there in kind.
That's why I look at it. I mean, if it was already there, it's just going to replace it. It's not going to be increasing anything, then I'm okay with it.
I said, Carol, you sent me something on paving in Hummerock, and I glanced at, did you send it out to all of us?
Is that,
Yeah, I think so.
Is that
Yes.
the,
yeah, this was a decision
the
by
house.
DEP.
Yes,
the one?
right.
Yeah,
11 years ago.
yeah.
And that was, and
There was a denial, and it was overturned, and people were allowed to repave in the same footprint. And, you know, I think what we've been doing is asking people, we know that if you fought it, you probably could get the exact same thing, but is there a way to give up a little of the pavement? Maybe do some pervious pavers or some type of gravel combination so that we're at least reducing the amount of asphalt. It's more asphalt than concrete, too. I mean, as the petroleum products in it, we're trying to reduce that, because it does break up on these storms. But on the other hand, the decision from DEP a while ago said,
it could go
You-
back
you
as
could.
it existed.
yeah.
Paul,
No questions, I'm just reading that now,
Lisa?
that letter.
any thoughts?
I think the fact that it was there before, and if it's not increased in size, that you should be able to replace it. However, would there be a chance you could do a little something on either side?
Yes, actually, and there's actually an area where, I mean, I'm not even paving out to the full extent of the property line. My neighbor Ed Joy to the left, so there's an area where we're not gonna pave all the way out to, so, you know, I'm open to suggestions in terms of how much, you know, that you think that we need to reduce it by. I mean, it's certainly, it's also an economic thing. It's probably easier for the paver people to come in and just pave it. I mean, already it's a $6,000 job. I think having pavers in there as well will probably add to the cost because it's probably a different company that's gotta come in there and put the pavers. So I would sort of put that out to the board as well, that.
I'm just looking at.
If 20 feet square area makes a big difference in the terms of Hummerock.
I'm just looking at the plan that was submitted, and there's a plan, if we are facing your home from Central Ave, there's a planter on the right,
Yes,
and that still exists?
that still exists.
And then is it pavement under the open deck? Does that go right up to the
It
house?
does, yeah.
Um,
I think the area, the square area, if I'm correct, I think it's in the range of about, 1,200 square feet.
Right.
It's
So-
not a huge space.
the other thing we tried for is a little bit of consistency, and I think you heard what Penny said. You know, folks were coming in for a filing, and they had multiple things they were doing with a septic or whatever. We would say to them, if there's any way we can reduce any impervious surface. It is a barrier beach. Hopefully, there's some recharge. On the front, we'd like to see some of the concrete and stuff removed, only because we feel like that just accelerates the water moving towards the house. Some people have done that. You've, done a revetment out in front instead of a seawall. But it's also a concrete patio, and then there's the house, and then, if the flip side to what you're saying is, even though your lot is fairly small, almost your whole piece of property is impervious.
Well, and that's a good point, is that, most of the water, there's not much acceleration around the front of my house, because the wave action is actually not coming because of the concrete deck.
Right.
In the back. It's actually coming, on the
But we have tried to move towards people not having total impervious surfaces. I mean, if you, right from the edge of Central Ave all the way to that revetment is either asphalt shingles, or whatever's on your roof, or a concrete patio.
Right.
So there's absolutely no way for any water to get into the ground on your property, and then other than the planter area, and then that spills out onto Central Ave. If there were a place where some impervious area could be added, it certainly wouldn't hurt. But
Yeah, I mean, but there is, if you look at the lot land, I mean, there are impervious areas on either side of the house, on the north side and the south.
I got it, okay, where the open exit, there's a deck and a fence.
And then if you see right where the chimney is, if
Yep.
that's shown on there,
Okay.
that whole area is.
My mistake, so you're right, there
Is-
is a couple of
Yeah,
areas.
and that's where all the water, and then on the other side of the house as well, that's all
So
rock
there's
and.
a little piece here.
and sand.
Gotcha.
And a little section here.
Access to dive.
Well, I think you have a right to put it back the way it
Yes.
was, and I think we could do that through amending. You already have a set of open orders, and typically that's how we deal with it. But, if you take a real hard look at it and say, geez, I think I can, I mean, they make some nice material, either, I'm not so sure that a lot's gained with just plain pavers, but it's something that water can penetrate a little bit or whatever, but it's. All right, so do you want to just ask them to submit a letter, just that they want, as a, requesting the amendment, or?
Yeah, an amendment requires a notification of abutters. It's not the same type of fees as a notice of intent, but it does require that you notify abutters. We have a right to know that there's going to be something impervious placed in front of your home, so.
And does that require just adjacent abutters? left and
It's-
right or across the street as well?
It's 100 feet, it's the same about a notification as a notice of intent. It's just you're not submitting a whole new notice of intent. It's more than a revised plan, really, when you're replacing a driveway. It's a big issue out along Short Avenue.
If anybody's got any question with these emergency pieces, I mean, that was totally something that the state sent out. They put a deadline on it. In a few cases, people were scurrying to get
Right, but it was like
something.
30 days or 60 days or whatever.
But it didn't include paving.
It didn't.
But it didn't include, that's what we
Right,
found out.
it was
Right.
basically putting rocks back.
Yeah.
And sand, yeah.
Sand and things where they were, and let people sort of get things back in front of their home. But it wasn't intended to pave roads or, unless, like, obviously the town was trying to get some roads put back after the storm and all of that sort of thing, so.
And they also find out after the fact.
But I think, we have a good plan, we have a file. We make that request and we can move forward.
Yeah.
All right, thank
If
you.
you have any questions, call first and just ask us if you have something going on.
But we are a little frustrated with some of the paving companies, because we have explained to them when they're in those areas, they see a sign up or something, and they just figure, oh, we got it, and we're off and running. And they do have a responsibility to check as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't-
I understand the confusion.
Yes.
And, we don't see you as being a,
A Dodger. I've been through here, this is my
yeah,
third
no,
time.
no, and it gets confusing at times. And then there's some folks that don't bother at all, and you folks are obviously willing to step up and say, here's where we got, and here's where we're gonna get to, and all that, so I think we're good.
All right, thank you.
As far as drafting up the amendment, is that something Carol or Pat could help them with?
Sure. Yeah, be real simple,
Yeah.
just requesting to repave what was existing, we've already got a plan,
Okay.
all right?
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
I think I'm up next.
Yeah, all right.
All right,
Trust that
Take it easy.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So you guys still like these informal approaches? There was much discussion as they go.
Well,
So do we want to go right into RDAs?
Yeah, I think we have one left here.
Did we do Foxvine?
We have two, we didn't do those.
Oh, yeah, Foxvine is...
Well, we got Jacob Hatch right in front of us.
Yeah,
Mr.
Foxvine
Scan-
has to continue. That, it turns out the plan that we received had an old wetland line, no information on who did it, and I got
That place is just amazing.
so I
There's
spoke...
more than one gray area in that neighborhood, that's for sure.
So I spoke with the property owner, they understood, so we'll have a wetland person flag it, and it's a shed, it's not a major project, but the wetland line gets confirmed if we vote on it, and then any project could go on there, so.
Okay, so we got
I
Yeah.
think you have to open it.
Oh, right, we have to open it.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
So on October 16th, did they give you a time frame?
Yeah, they want to be on for the 28th if possible, so we'll get somebody out there.
So on October 16th, 2013, during the 6:15 meeting, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will we act on the request of Vanessa and Timothy Carnes for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaw to construct a 16 by 16 shed on property located at 10 Foxvine Lane, Scituate. Butters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Do I have a motion to continue this?
I make a motion to continue it to October 28th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So then I can read Jacob Hatch. On October 16th, 2013, during the 6:15 PM meeting, the Scituate Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Jacob Hatch Condo Association for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaw to repair existing retaining walls and guardrails on property located at 10 Driftway, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Mr. Scanzillo.
Mr. Snow, how are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Basically, we just want to repair what damage has been done to the entrance. We have a history of plows hitting it, and a couple of cars have been rear-ended, and done a number on our wooden guardrails. Guardrails are currently simply driven immediately behind the Versalock block walls, and when something hits it, doesn't take much for it to knock the block wall over. So what our plan is to do is to put the guardrail embedded in concrete with a post coming out of the concrete immediately behind the block wall, so that if something hits it, this gets something a little bit more substantial to withstand the blow. The concrete would sit in the current riprap area, so it's not, there's no wetlands vegetation that would have to be disturbed to do it. And that's pretty much it. We're just trying to repair and keep the property safe. It actually also is a safety issue because the guardrails are down. Somebody can fall over and get hurt. And,
Sure.
it's something we have to.
Everybody's late for their appointment, so they're in a rush to get in there.
I had to tell you, I see more people talking on cell phones, driving all sorts of places, including around our building, when they really shouldn't be. But it's more the people that are on the driftway, you know,
Yeah.
heavy snowstorm, plow hits it.
Yep.
Just want to make it so that it'll last a little bit longer and is a little bit more safe for people in the long run.
Sure. Any?
Well, no question.
No.
There's evidence of all sorts of accidents, and where we split the poles is where the riprap is, so there really aren't any issues.
Did the MBTA do any knotweed eradication around the edges of your property, and was it effective, do you think?
Some years back, I had to sign a consent form.
Right. This is not to do with this piece, I'm just out of
Oh,
curiosity.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I wish they would do more, actually.
Yeah.
But it was somewhat effective. It wasn't effective immediately, it took a little bit of time. But what they did was only on the, I guess, on the harbor side of our driveway.
Mhm.
They didn't do anything on the other side. So as you see, there's less of it on the left side of the driveway as you're looking at the property as opposed to the right side.
Yeah.
But it's creeping into our grassy areas and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, because was it PJ's asked if they could cut it back as well, because it's killing their sign
Yep.
and all that area. Yeah.
It is a nuisance, and the way it was presented to me is it's an invasive plant.
Yes.
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's okay to vegetate things, but not with stuff that's going to ruin everything
Right.
else.
Well, it seems like it's in a lot of disturbed soil, and once it gets going, it's just hard to,
That area where that planting is, that plant type is, it's my understanding, you'd probably remember this better than me, was part of a drainage swale that was created when the driftway was built. It wasn't a natural water runoff area originally.
it's been growing on both sides of the road since I worked in Raymond's paint store, so.
That's just a couple of years ago.
Kind of.
But it's sad, because down in North Scituate, going down Gannett Road there, used to all the cat o' nine tails would fall.
Either knotweed or phragmites,
Yeah, and it's really, the cat o' nine tails are gone.
All choked
Yeah.
out.
They've
And
been
we
killed.
actually planted some at Jacob Hatch,
Yeah.
part of our,
Well, they're beautiful.
well, thank you.
But
They weren't on the drawing, we put them in on our own.
Okay.
I make a motion for a -3.
Great.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Great,
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
thank you very much. Thank you, Pat.
So Roach at 232 Central Ave, they're going to withdraw this application?
Yep, they contacted Carol, and they'll come back at some future date with different plans.
So can we just toss this?
Yeah, we'll throw it in the draw just to see if there's a plan comes in
I mean,
later.
I've been holding on to this forever.
You like it?
Oh, I just love it.
Well, it's up to you. Save it if you want, Penny.
Oh, everybody, yeah, as long as we have one, doesn't matter.
Yeah, you give it to Carol.
No, this is back in June, this has been going
All
on.
right, so we're going to, a motion to withdraw.
I make a motion to withdraw 232 Central Ave Roach without prejudice.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is it Ruth Cook at 46 Indian Winds Drive, 12 by 18 garage? Yes. Driveway? Am I saying that name right? Okay. I'm sorry. Perfect. On October 16, 2013, at 6:35 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Duncan Ruth and Kimberly Cook to construct a 12 by 18 garage and a pervious driveway on property located at 46 Indian Wind Drive, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Steve Ibis Environmental. I'm here with Duncan Roth, who is one of the applicants for this project. The project is located at Indian Wind Drive. I've got a small graphic, you may be able to see it. North is to this way, down toward the paper. There is a BVW that surrounds an intermittent stream that runs across Indian Wind Drive to the north and west, and eventually ends up in the Aaron River Reservoir on site. So there's a BVW. There is a small isolated vegetated wetland to the rear of the site, right at the very rear of the subject property here. Let's see, the other resource is there is a certified vernal pool off-site on the the Natural Heritage Data Layer. It actually shows the vernal pool as located in the house, in the existing dwelling on site. And I have a graphic that you may have seen, and I'd be happy to show that to you. Pardon? No, it's just, it's a certified pool, and it's just it's a misregister, actually, on a data layer.
Because I would say there's probably a certified pool in the open space behind there.
That is correct, and in
Yeah.
fact, I have suggested where it belongs.
Yeah.
It's existing right here, and belongs back in
Yeah.
here. Okay, so it exists on the data layer, the natural heritage data layer, right here at the back of the house, and it really belongs right here. Okay, just to let you know. It's in your, all right? So it's there on the data layer, it really belongs here. That's where it is, off-site. It's off-site. On the Hennessy property,
Right,
actually.
that we purchased, CPC.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay, just to let you know. Now, there's also, and for the audience, the vernal pool is here on the data layer and here in reality. And there is also an estimated habitat and a priority habitat on the site, which on the data layer runs right just north of the house. And there is a shadow on the picture, on the orthophoto. So the shadow is probably about 12 feet wide, so we just included it as in the estimated habitat, of course. And so the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program has been sent a copy of the notice of intent. And we're expecting at any time a no-take letter from them. But they do have 30 days with which to review it before they get back to you and before you can finalize an order of conditions.
No take, meaning that this isn't going to impact that habitat.
That is correct. And our guess is that it's the turtle, the eastern box turtle that's in the habitat back in here.
Right.
Okay? So those are all the resources. It's actually a complex site with regard to resources. The proposed project is a 12 by 28-foot garage to the north of the house. The house is here, and here is the garage and a driveway. The driveway is 12 by 40 and would be composed of permeable pavers. The only hard thing in here is that the garage has 118 square feet in the 50-foot buffer zone to the existing BVW.
The existing garage or the proposed garage?
The proposed.
Proposed garage, okay.
That's correct. The existing use, land use, is now lawn of that area. And the lawn extends right to the tree line, which is shown on the plan as well. And the tree line comes within probably 10 or 12 feet of the BVW.
So this would be in the buffer zone.
So does Bates Lane actually terminate right there at the end?
Yes, it does. It terminates right there, and there is also, I should say, there's also a 30-foot wide access easement from Indian Wind Drive to Bates Lane
Right.
on the subject property. It's actually on this property. And in fact, it's on a portion of the upland, but there's really not room enough to place a structure over there. with regard to zoning issues. We looked at that as an alternative. There are no other alternatives for the placement of the garage. It's too close to the southerly side, and the back side is, there's a septic system very close to an existing deck and sunroom on the rear of the house, which would be the easterly side.
Penny?
What do they want to do for mitigation if we allowed that? It is in the no-build.
They'd be happy to plant additional shrubs along the existing tree line on the site. And they'd be happy to do a 2-to-1, and then increase the ecotone or the buffer to that BVW there.
It's just hard, once we get into these areas, you know, we let a little bit here, a little bit there. I understand it's all grass.
Let me give you one more positive thing about the garage versus working on a car. This is for a teenager to work on a car. Now, if the car was placed directly adjacent to the BVW, there'd be a lot of wildlife habitat influence, noise, et cetera, and movement, versus inside the garage, the noise and movement, if it was concealed inside the garage, it would actually be a positive benefit to the wildlife habitat if you compare working outside. And Hingham liked that idea a couple of years ago for a similar situation. I'm not saying you're like Hingham, but they took that and said it made sense to them.
Well, I think we've had similar
Yes.
discussions about things being contained.
Exactly, in additions and things like that.
Right. Or even in a garage or commercial area.
Sure.
Bill?
Bill?
Yeah, I mean, the 50-foot zone is not something that we want to see happen, so if we can work out something that everybody's happy with in terms of mitigation, then I guess, but.
It's just, I think at the time that this was developed, we weren't, maybe some of the commission wasn't adhering as much to the 50-foot buffer with some of these pieces, so obviously things have gotten even closer. Paul?
Yeah, my comment is, if you look at the property, you look at the aerial photo, I mean, I don't think doing this is going to have a big impact on the wildlife areas, and if you can get enough mitigation, like Penny says, to actually improve the buffer zone, it could be a net positive.
Lisa?
I agree with Penny as well. I think that it would be nice to see, get some plantings in there.
Pat, any other comment?
A couple of things. There's the erosion controls for the excavation of the garage, is that going to be hay bales, or is that?
Whatever you like. That can be put into
Yeah,
the
it's
order.
that would be good. Also, there were plantings required for the last project when the tank was put on the ground. Are those the plantings that are to the left? And the tanks are under that, and this garage won't impact the tanks? Okay.
Those plantings were great, by the way.
Okay.
Blueberries and everything.
Oh, good. Yeah, it looks nice.
Right.
The other thing is, if he's working on a garage, we don't want the on-deck circle car to be to the left of the garage, sitting closer to the
It's
so.
eliminated.
Okay, all right, so, right, all right, that'll be good. The other thing is on the natural heritage submittal, I mean, we have to hear back, or there has to be a period of time, so
it's to scale,
if we
corner
voted
probably
to close this, it would be pending natural heritage, because they make a decision within 30 days. And
Exactly.
so in 30 days, they're up in another couple of days, I think.
Right.
And the only other thing was possible plantings for mitigation.
Yeah, so
Because
we just have to come up with some.
Yeah, we are
Definite
trying to keep
plantings.
the 50 feet wherever we can, and, I mean, this is a lawn, it's not, wetland.
We'd be happy to submit for either your approval, a planting plan.
How long do you think National Heritage will take to give you an answer?
They will be back to us, they have to be back to us, I believe, by November 4th, which is, they actually received it on October 4th.
So if we have a meeting on the 28th, and
You
you,
should have something back.
and
by
you
then.
give us a planting plan that we can approve, can we close it at that time? Is that gonna jeopardize any? And we could have the orders ready.
Yes.
How's that? But I would like to see, I mean, you know what to put together for a good.
Certainly, I'd be happy to, and
Terry, you have the
I'd be-
small isolated wetlands and piece, and I think if you can show some substantial improvement on that, and I have to agree that I think a better planting plan along that buffer would certainly outweigh that disturbance.
Are you talking about the buffer in the corner back in here?
Yes,
Right in here. That makes sense to me as well.
yeah.
Sure. And I'd be happy to bring that in for your agents,
Dr. Pat?
yeah, your agents, look-see.
Yeah, there was also, was there some stuff that was out there that we were gonna have removed too?
You mentioned it, and I'm not sure.
No, I agree with
You,
that.
you spoke with,
We had the air conditioners put in, went down a little bit, and ended up taking out some.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
oh,
yeah.
fine,
Right out.
On the left, yeah.
okay. Sure, and that can be put into the order, certainly.
Okay.
All right. Anybody in the audience? Mr. Bjorklund?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we originally laid this house out, there was a 25-foot buffer, and it's since gone to a 50. So when you wonder about some of these people coming in trying to fit things around the houses were laid out, and we had more room to work with. So that's happened over time, as they've asked for a larger buffer. But when you get into some of these subdivisions, they're kind of squished because we were working with a smaller buffer.
Right, okay, at the time, right. That's
The
good.
non-disturbance zone was 25 feet instead of 50. So they do need a little bit more room to work around some of these houses.
Okay.
Good history.
That was in the
Thanks.
early 90s.
Right.
The drainage does not go to the reservoir. The drainage actually goes into the Beechwood River, so it goes around the reservoir.
Oh, thank you, I did not know that, thank you.
Nobody else, right? Okay.
Motion to continue until October 28th at 6:30. In the meantime, you get all that stuff in, and we'll work on some orders to go with it.
Great.
Sure, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your concern with doing this as well.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Great, thanks.
Good night.
thank you.
Carbone, 25 Townway Extension, install footings. On October 16th, 2013, at 6:45 PM, Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing on, yeah, sure. We'll hold a wetlands hearing under the Town Hall Scituate Code of Bylaws to amend order of conditions issued under DEP file 68-2448 regarding the application of Roberta Carbone to install footings on property located at 25 Townway Extension, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Get so used to reading off the usual.
I know.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? Franny Baxter. I'm working with the Carboni family. I've worked with them since the early 70s, so I have pretty good knowledge of the beach. And we've raised all those houses and stuff. They had some storm damage, we lost some footings. And these are the same footings that were originally installed in '79, and they were replaced with wooden pylons on top of them. You people approved it, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 years ago, and now we want to.
And they got wiped out again?
Well, it wasn't, somebody had played with it and put some X's under a deck, which never should have been done. And you know what a free flow is supposed to be. After this was built, somebody, I thought, we're gonna stiffen this up, and they put it in there. And all 3 decks that are built identical, they survived except for that one. So now we've put in some plans to the building department, and we're gonna change, we're gonna put concrete piling on top of the old footings, the existing footings, and in the front, where there's no more road that's been gone for about 15 years, we want to put one piling. But to have it driven is cost prohibitive, you know, for one piling, so we want to bring a small little track machine in, dig down 8 feet, put the piling in, backfill it, and then the next high tide, you won't even know it's been disturbed. I gave you people a whole bunch of sets of plans and stuff like that. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay. Penny?
Excuse me, Frank, just one question. I see you have the abutters' names on here, for instance. Did they sign off on anything, or did you have abutter cards?
Well, we basically called most of them in the town of Scituate, knew about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for a formal amendment, if we were just revising a plan, just
Yeah.
a notification, but for a formal amendment, they need to have the opportunity to attend a meeting, so they need a notification.
Okay, then.
On the amendment.
What about if you color revising of the plan?
Yeah, I mean, because you were approved to do the tight tank.
Yeah.
It said they were notified
Yeah, yeah,
at that
yeah.
time. But this is an additional project to that.
Okay, well,
Um,
that's what it is, and we'll just,
So what's the procedure to notify them?
I mean, it's pretty much an abutter notification like an NOI, the 100-foot and the newspaper.
well.
Well, would it be better
Yeah,
to do
the
an
newspaper.
RDA?
The abutters
Guy, the same.
were down,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, on the
did.
abutters, if you had a sign off, a
Yeah, we
signature
did.
saying that,
We told them you had to notify the abutters, yeah.
yeah,
Because that's what we told 260 Central too.
yeah, that's.
That amendment
it's-
requires notification of abutters.
Yeah, I mean, you have them all listed in here, and a lot of times people bring in the cards that they sent
Well,
out.
you know, I apologize. I've been trying to get this thing going. The old timer died, now Roberta's here, and the kids are running it. I've just been helping them out with this project, and we lost all the footings, put the temporary stuff in. We get some pictures there of temporary cribbing after the storm, so we wouldn't lose the edge of the house. We're trying to get this done. If you need that, fine. So next spring, we'll come back and we're just trying to get the footings in, so you tell
I
me
mean,
what you need.
If you mailed it out this week, with this list, just
Yeah.
get the list out, we could have it on the 28th.
Okay, well, I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. Like I said, I've been retired for a while. I'm helping them out, and we got the emergencies done, and Pat has been working with me, but I just didn't realize all this other stuff had to get done, because I'm not the guy with the suit that does all that, so. That's it. So, you tell me what you want now. You want all the abutters, all the people out of state, the town of Scituate, and all the lots they own with cards back?
It's a card, I mean, yeah, that is the way to do it. You get the list from the
Well-
assessors, but you have everything else in here, the plan is here, the
Well, you know, the
footings
whole
and-
thing is, winter's coming. If this doesn't get done soon,
Right.
they're gonna lose the whole corner of the house. Cribbing isn't gonna last, so they're gonna lose it,
Right.
that's it.
But if they were sent this week, we could vote on it in 2 weeks, the 28th.
So why don't we just put you back on the agenda for the 28th?
Good, I don't
Is that
think
all right
they-
with you?
They won't, I mean, so we have to get all the cards from the abutters in the town of Scituate that owns most of the lots?
I think what you send out, you take and you're gonna send it registered.
Right, right.
So basically, it just.
A
you're gonna-
certificate of mailing.
Or a certificate of mailing.
Yeah.
So you have the list.
Yeah.
You just send those out that way, and then you come to the next meeting that you mailed them
Right,
to those people. It's not,
Bring the green cards with you.
yeah. You don't have to hear back from
Well,
them.
you know something, I'll be honest with you. It's not gonna get done in time, because I'm leaving south the 15th, and I've been trying to work with them, and I wanted to play by the rules, and I have. I'm going through you people and stuff
when
like
did
that.
this damage
This
occur?
happened in the spring, the spring storm. And then I got involved to help them out. Pat and the building, but we just secured it so it wouldn't collapse. And
But
then
this is from the Nemo storm,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
in the spring, what was it? Yeah,
right,
yeah.
or winter. It
Yeah,
happened in
yeah,
January.
February or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was the worst storm Peggotty ever took.
Well, but
It was,
The-
for this house.
But the reality is that it's been an awful long time for the opportunity to repair it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
And I get involved in it later, because I used to work for the mother and father. The father died.
Sure.
And that's it. So then I worked with Pat, and I thought we had everything together. I didn't realize you needed all this other stuff, so now I do, so I'll play with it, but,
Okay.
I mean, the whole thing is, it's not gonna get done, and they're gonna lose. I'll be honest with you, next spring, the corner of the house will be gone, I mean, be very honest with you, I would have been more than happy to go in there and hand dig it and put new 6x6 posts on the existing footings that are down there. But I said, no, let's do it the right way, and we'll go through town hall, but we didn't, so now we're doing this. I mean, like I said, you approved the 6x6 posts a couple of years ago when they replaced all the decks and stuff, but, okay, no problem, I'll work on it.
My question is, so it requires an amendment to the, they've come in and requested this as an amendment to the existing orders.
Right.
I started to try to go through the whole way, and then we decided to go with the amendment to move it up. That's all, because we started,
Yeah, because there was an open order for the tight tank,
Right.
rather than have a new NOI because of the footings, we said you can amend. That is one of the steps, is the notification. What about the Carbones? Could they do this? I mean, if,
Roberta, she's 80 years old, and I work with the kids, and, like I said, it's the kids' house now, basically, and they love it. Those kids were this little when I first did it. I'll work on it and see what we
maybe
can
the
do.
kids could do it. Have them call.
The whole thing, we'll work on it, we'll get it done. But like I said, by the time we go to the 28th, then there's what, a 2-week wait after that? And that brings you into the middle of November. I'm taking off at Thanksgiving, it's not gonna get done, and then that's it,
Well, I think if you have if you have the signature cards back at the next, we'll continue it to the next meeting.
Okay.
And if somebody one of the kids can come in, or somebody can come in.
No, I'll be here for there, but
All right,
it
okay.
the job just won't get done.
But as far as that's up to you whether you want to wait the appeals period or not. If it's a thing that's just going back in,
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Well, I'll be dead serious with you, gentlemen and ladies. I mean, when we had the approval to do the decks last time, and you allowed us to go down to the old footings, and we just dug down and put them in there, and that was it. There was no big problem, and like I said,
Okay.
right now, there's cribbing there, and that's it. I mean, and I wanted to play it by the rules, and that's it. I wouldn't bring a machine in, because too many times, the machine drives down Peggy Beach, and people come out screaming and yelling, I've been...
Well, we've
Yeah,
had.
I understand. You're doing your job.
It gets difficult for a lot of folks, and it gets emotional with a lot of people, and we've tried to work with everybody and move it on expeditiously as possible, but there are certain requirements that have to happen.
Okay, like I said, last time we did it with the deck and all that stuff, all the stuff was mailed out by Scituate Conservation. Because I think 5 years ago, when the deck was done, that was all taken through you people. All we do is pay for it, and it was, we didn't mail it out.
You mailed it.
You
Did we?
did the mailing. I was on the,
Oh, okay, then, I'm sorry, then, maybe not me, maybe Roberta handled it then. So I apologize for not being prepared.
Okay.
I will attempt to do
We're getting
something.
close, though. We're getting close.
I know it,
Francis.
but close doesn't count with the winter coming. Okay, thanks a lot, John. Thanks, Roberta. I wish I had known stuff
Ninth
earlier.
inning's kind of late to start.
can I
To
make a
continue.
motion to continue Carbone 25 Townway Extension footings to October 28th at 6:40?
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Right.
Lapsley, 27 Rebecca Road. On October 16th, 2013, at 6:55 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Sophia and Dorothy Lapsley to repair an existing storm-damaged structure and reconstruct deck on property located at 27 Rebecca Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Good evening. For the record, Terry McGovern from Morris Engineering, representing the Lapsleys. And as similar with the last project, this was damage that was sustained to an existing structure back in the Nemo storm back in February. And what they're requesting is simply to go back in the same footprint. The part of the structure that was damaged is what was a porch, and a deck in the rear, and an additional deck along Rebecca Road in the front. And they're simply requesting to come back and replace those portions of the house which were damaged on wood pilings in the same location and the exact same footprint. The existing house is more or less intact. It's going to need new siding, new windows, etc., and some repairs to the existing structure. The porch, if you look at the building plans that we provided as well, is going back as a single-story sun porch, replacing an existing porch. They're not going to expand the use of the structure, and the deck is going back as front and rear deck. We've shown the elevations that they're going back to, which is one step down from the existing. Some of the material obviously has been cleaned up in the area of the structure. A lot of the damage around it has been cleaned up There is some existing concrete back in the area of the deck, which will be removed. Right now, the area is stable, and it's been that way since the cleanup occurred. That material, a portion of it, some existing concrete that's back there will be removed so that the pilings can go in along the beach. We don't anticipate any disturbance in grade. No other disturbance in the area. They have room to get a machine in to set the pilings along the rear of the house. If you want a good look within the notice of intent packet, hopefully you got all the colored ones. There's a picture pointing to the house in the 2008 ortho photo, kind of right up here at the tip, and you can actually see the deck peeking out from behind the shadow, with the other house immediately to the left of it. So the area that got destroyed is kind of where the shadow is, and then the deck that peeks out from the back. And the front portion of the deck that faces along Rebecca Road was ripped off as well, just from water and debris swirling through the area. I don't know, to be honest with you, if these people have looked into any kind of grant money or anything else. I tend to think that they haven't. The project sat for some time while they tried to figure out what to do. And finally, at the beginning of September, we got a set of architecturals in and were given authorization to go ahead and file so that Tom McCarthy, the builder, could potentially get in and get some work done this fall at least.
So we're talking about replacing the deck in front of the house on Rebecca Road
Yep.
and
Porch
the
and
one
deck.
in the back,
Porch and deck in the rear.
and then
Same footprint, same size.
is
nothing.
this the property line here?
Well, that's my question to you.
The property line is the record property line on the plan of all of those lots. They have rights out to mean high water. Everything has existed going back to when the time the structure
You'll
was
see
built.
all this.
Huh.
That's wide open there.
You-
That's what caught
The
my
rights to
eye.
Yeah, and we,
Definitely was here.
yeah. and we
Well,
have to
the
show
point
it.
is, it was already there, we're not granting property rights, we're, as Frank says, we're approving the process to replace
Yeah.
what was there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of stuff built out there that's probably,
Right, yeah.
I'll pass the plan down, you can take a look at it. This is the record plan of all of the lots in that particular area. There's actually one other version that's older than that, and our locus is in pink. And that's the way it's described as that lot number. Now, again, they're oceanfront, their deed reads by the Atlantic Ocean, so in the 20s and 30s, when a lot of these structures were built, even though they had the lots,
I know. It's like, whose land is that being built on?
well, it's funny because in a different scenario like.
who's the right guy to ask?
Where much of the land is registered land or land court.
Yeah.
There aren't no rights, unless the rights extend down to mean high water and it's shown that way, and it's conveyed by a particular lot, then, yeah, you look at Hummerock and the structures are confined to that lot. Other areas of town, they may have, as I can think of another one going up there's another little neighborhood off Hatherley Road, kind of a similar thing, where you have beachfront lots, but the description on that side reads by the ocean. So you look at the structures that were built 70, 80 years ago, and yeah, they were built up. But we're in the exact same footprint as has existed.
We don't care how many pilings, we need to see that.
Do we have a piling plan or any kind of a plan of
Yeah.
what they're proposing to?
Don't have a piling plan. All I really have are the architecturals on it. It's not included in the drawings in there, but that's really a footprint and elevations. And a window and door schedule that you would never need.
Right.
Building department might be interested in it,
But no foundation plan or no?
other than it's gonna be on wood pilings.
All right.
Are the pilings currently under the house, any of those gonna be reused, or?
The pilings under the house are fine. There's concrete,
Concrete.
the house actually sits on concrete piers. And what they're gonna do is drag the pilings for the remainder of the part that needs to be replaced.
They can't get under that to do anything, any kind of driving or pilings?
No,
really?
no, and there
They have the
really
lot
isn't.
next door.
There isn't enough, yeah, there isn't quite enough room to do anything with it.
So, do you know how they're gonna set the pilings now, Terry? The ones for the
They
repair of
should
the
be able to
deck?
get in between with a track machine, get out there and set the pilings.
So they're gonna excavate and put a piling in and then,
Well, they'll drive
backfill
the
it?
pilings in the
so it'd be
back.
driven?
Yeah, driven pilings.
So that you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's room to get there too, beside,
Yeah, they
and
get
there's
up
an
the
empty
right side.
lot right next,
Yeah, they
next
get up
door.
the right side and get in and do that.
Well, I think we should, I mean, I think we should have a plan of what's going in for piles.
I don't disagree.
So we could continue this and have the orders prepared, and if they can get us a plan for driven piles. Anybody in the audience? Anybody else with a comment?
No, I was gonna say something to that, or I was gonna ask, could we close it and make a condition that we need an approved foundation plan, either way?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
They're not gonna start the work either way.
Yeah.
so.
Or what Penny had said, or somebody had said, have the order ready next time and not close it yet, just, yeah.
Okay.
Either
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's leave it open.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
That's,
Close it
I don't
and
see that as,
do the orders.
I don't see that as being an issue.
Are
Okay,
these going to Neil yet, Terry? Is he-
Kate Rockford was handling that part of it.
continue.